Who is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, an MS-13 gangster or an innocent Maryland resident wrongfully deported by the Trump administration? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. By now you've likely heard about the deportation of Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. If you haven't, please tell me, is ignorance really bliss? Because it seems so much more peaceful than all this anxiety-inducing awareness. Abrego Garcia ended up in an El Salvador super prison called the Terrorism Confinement Center due to an administrative error. It's like the plot of Brazil. Watch it if you haven't. As a result, many are now demanding that Trump return him to Maryland. This has gone all the way up to the Supreme Court, which ruled the U.S. must facilitate his return. Oh, if only a Supreme Court ruling was enough, then I wouldn't have to make this episode. But the Trump administration, while admitting it made a mistake in court filings, says that Abrego Garcia is out of its hands and that it's really up to El Salvador to decide whether to bring him back to the U.S. Yet El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele said he won't return him and even called him a terrorist.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed you're not suggesting that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right? How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous.
He doesn't know how to sneak someone across the border? It's easy. At least it was when Biden was still president. But so wait, okay. Is this guy a terrorist? An innocent man? Well, as with most things these days, it depends on your politics. The Trump administration accused Abrego Garcia of being a member of MS-13, which the Trump administration has designated a terrorist organization. They also emphasized that Abrego Garcia was in the U.S. illegally, and claimed that he was involved in human trafficking. But the other side paints Abrego Garcia in a completely different light. They emphasize that he's a Maryland father of 3, leaving behind a devastated and confused American wife, and that he's actually a legal resident. Or as some put it, he was under protected legal status. So he must be brought home. Wow. I can't believe a vicious human trafficking gang member is also a loving father and husband. May we all find such a solid work-life balance. But here's the rub. Many are also saying there's no evidence he's MS-13, which is crazy. I mean, Trump would never spread rumors of something without concrete proof, right?
They're eating the dogs.
So which is it? Is Abrego Garcia a brutal criminal, a sympathetic victim? A brutal victim? Well, it helps to look through the court documents. I know, you can actually read the official reports instead of parroting what you saw some rando say on X. Let's start by asking this. Who is Abrego Garcia? Abrego Garcia is an El Salvadorian man who entered the U.S. illegally around 2011. He was arrested in March 2019, and according to an April 2019 immigration bond memorandum, was subject to removal based solely on the fact that he was an illegal alien in violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Will Chamberlain, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project and the Internet Accountability Project, points out that this aspect was totally independent of whether he was in MS-13. So when Abrego Garcia asked for a $5,000 bond, saying he was not a flight risk and that he was going to apply for asylum, his alleged ties to MS-13 were brought up. The court sided with DHS and denied Abrego Garcia's bond request, citing the evidence presented and Abrego Garcia's failure to appear for hearings on past traffic violations. Abrego Garcia then appealed that to the Board of Immigration Appeals, but the board reaffirmed the previous judge's findings that Abrego Garcia was a gang member and a danger to others. That ticked off a lot of people. Critics say Abrego Garcia was falsely accused of being an MS-13 member and that it's a 100% lie made up by Republican politicians and some right-wing media hosts. According to the district judge that initially ruled he should be brought back to the United States, the evidence against Abrego Garcia consisted of nothing more than his Chicago Bulls hat and hoodie and a vague, uncorroborated allegation from a confidential informant claiming he belonged to MS-13's Western Clique in New York, a place he has never lived. It makes sense. Being a fan of a sports team doesn't automatically mean you're a violent menace, unless you're a fan of the Raiders. But it's worth noting that the initial immigrant judge who ruled against Abrego Garcia was reluctant to give weight to his clothing as an indication of gang affiliation, but argued that a past, proven, and reliable source of information proved Abrego Garcia is an MS-13 gang member. We don't know what exactly the source said about Abrego Garcia's MS-13 membership, but Solicitor General Dijon Sauer seems fine with calling him an MS-13 member over and over. One other key question worth asking is whether Abrego Garcia was even a legal Maryland resident in the first place. Abrego Garcia applied for asylum, withholding of removal, and protection under Article 3 of the Convention Against Torture. He said he feared returning to El Salvador because a street gang called Barrio 18 was targeting him and threatening him with death because of his family's pupusa business. He was threatened with murder over pupusas? That's easily the most negative Yelp review I've ever heard. So in August and September 2019, an immigration judge found some of Abrego Garcia's claims credible, but not all. See, Abrego Garcia was supposed to claim asylum within a year of entering the U.S. He did that 7 years later instead. That's why the immigration judge didn't grant Abrego Garcia asylum. Better late than never doesn't really apply when it comes to asylum. That same judge also didn't grant him relief under Article 3 of the Convention Against Torture because he didn't show proof that he would be tortured. I mean, after all, how bad could those pupusas really be? But Abrego Garcia did end up being granted withholding of removal to El Salvador. So he was released to return home and had since checked in with immigration officials once a year. But is that the same thing as being a legal resident in the U.S.? Many say this is a court order allowing Abrego Garcia to stay in the U.S. But withholding of removal just means that a person cannot be removed to one specific country. That's not the same thing as a legal right to stay in the U.S. It's more like you don't have to go home, but you can stay here for now. Even CNN admits that he could be deported.
He is still removable to another country, but he cannot be sent to El Salvador.
Well, as we've seen, he can be sent there. Given how Abrego Garcia didn't apply for asylum for years, many suspect he concocted a preposterous set of lies and only came up with his story after he had been denied bail. Is that true? Well, I'll leave that up for you to decide. The idea that he could be in danger over pupusas seems a bit far-fetched, but living in New York, I wouldn't want to get on the bad side of any foodies. So, why did the Abrego Garcia story blow up so much? From the left, many see it as fighting back against fascism, fighting back against a man who defies the courts and threatens the right to due process. Many are now afraid for even U.S. citizens. Oh, come on, what could give them that idea?
I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that.
Oh, so that's where they got the idea. On the bright side, at least he said he'd look at the laws. The only time actual fascists look at laws is to have a good laugh at what they're ignoring. On the right, it's just another story of how illegal immigrants are abusing the immigration system, allowing criminals like MS-13 to endanger Americans. They also see it as further proof of how judicial activists, left-leaning nonprofits, legacy media, and Democrats are pushing for America's destruction by criminalizing immigration enforcement and supposedly defending and fighting for criminals. Though if you've been to San Francisco, you're less likely to say supposedly. It's a complex story with a lot of moving parts and a lot of questions that need to be answered. The more you learn about the story, the more complicated it seems, which proves that the only thing that's for certain is ignorance truly is bliss. But what do you think about Abrego Garcia? Was his deportation justified, or did it go too far? Is Trump setting a bad precedent? Don't worry, we won't send you to an El Salvadorian super prison for posting your opinions. Leave your comments below. And episodes like this require a lot of time and effort. Please support more episodes by subscribing to our new premium website, AmericaUncovered.tv. And you'll also get exclusive content, live streams, and more. Just click on this button that's been on screen. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.